Brilliant. I think we're live. So, welcome everyone to Shiver 2022 D2C Dialogue Edition. Great to have everybody again this year. I know we had a gap in 2021 because of the pandemic. We didn't take Shiver live, but we had a great response to Shiver 2020. And I'm very happy to introduce our panel today where we're going to be talking about the making of a global brand. And it's a topic very close to our heart at Shiprocket. We've just launched Shiprocket X, our global cross-border shipping service. So it's something that we truly believe in. And this panel is all about letting all of you learn from our panelists about how they've been able to take their businesses global, some of the leading D2C brands in the country, and at the same time, learn from some of the key enablers who can help you take your business global, whether it's PayPal, whether it's Shopmatic or One World Express. Everybody, big thank you to all our panelists for joining. I'll give a brief introduction. First, we have Varun from Slurp Farm. He's the CEO of Slurp Farm, which is a children-focused healthy food brand. He has experience with leading institutions across finance, manufacturing, and consumer products, and is an expert in scaling high-growth companies. I love the fact, Varun, I was going through the LinkedIn profile of Slurp Farm, and I love your tagline, changing the way the world eats one child at a time. I thought that was completely brilliant. Whoever came up with it, full marks to them. We have Dhruv, welcome to the panel. We have Dhruv Bhasin, who's the co-founder of Arata. I'm a user of your product, so I'm actually happy that I have people that I can actually say something about.
Oh, wow, fantastic. Super happy to hear that.
And I'm a user of your shampoo. It's always stocked in my bathroom shelf. Thank you so much for joining today, Dhruv.
My pleasure, and your hair looks amazing.
Thank you. Everybody, Dhruv is the co-founder of Arata. Arata produces natural, chemical-free products, personal care products, plant-derived personal care products to be more specific. Prior to founding Arata, he worked with companies like Kalakar Enterprises, Windrop Worldwide, Consulting, and others. And like I said, Arata is it's a truly global brand when I think of it, right? They're in a niche in personal care in a highly competitive industry, and they've been able to really carve a brand for themselves. And I know a lot of people who use their product.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Akshay. Akshay, thank you for joining. Akshay Arora from Lagi Fashions. I'm very proud to say that she has been an early adopter of our cross-border shipping services at Shiprocket, and she's helped us along the way. So thank you for all your support in the initial years and continuing with that support today. Akshay, from being a part of the corporate machinery, decided to become a woman entrepreneur. She started her career with IDBI Bank, and now she's the founder of Lagi Fashions, which is an Indian fashion brand. She sells on Amazon, Flipkart, LimeRoad in India, as well as Amazon US and Etsy. Actually, welcome to the panel. Really happy to have you here, and I'm sure the panelists can learn a lot about from how you've taken your brand global.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Next, we have Atul, who's the CEO of One World Express, Atul Bhakta. Atul has been one of the pioneers for cross-border shipping across multiple geographies. One World Express is one of the preferred partners for platforms like eBay when it comes to shipping out of countries like China to the rest of the world and also with India. Very happy to say that Atul is also one of our preferred partners on Shiprocket X. He is the guy who powers the entire shipping behind our solution. Welcome to the panel, Atul.
Akshay, thank you very much, and I look forward to this conversation today.
We also have Sandeep Sethi with us, who's the VP and Country Manager of Shopmatic. Sandeep helps drive revenue growth of Shopmatic and leads the e-commerce platform business for India. He is a multi-industry business leader with over 25 years of experience in retail, payments, and banking automation. And he's worked with multiple Fortune 500 companies like IBM, Xerox, Canon, and many others. Sandeep, pleasure to have you on the platform. We all look forward to learn from your experience at Shopmatic and your experience over the course of your career as well.
Thank you so much, Akshay. I really look forward to being a part of this panel.
Brilliant. And last but not the least, we have Chandni Nehlani, who's the country head of PayPal in India. She has 15 years of operating experience across India and the US across diverse leadership roles. Chandni is very passionate about 0 to 1 growth and is very passionate about building and leading teams and solving complex problems. Working with PayPal, which is one of the leaders when it comes to trust and has such a strong brand globally. I think PayPal has been a key enabler for many, many Indian brands when they've decided to go global. I was just telling Chandni when we started this conversation that when I needed to take cross-border payments many years ago, PayPal was the first company that I came across with, and I think that is one of the reasons why many customers in the US actually paid me, because they had the PayPal trust behind them. Otherwise, seeing Akshay Gulati on a PayPal on a bank account may not have inspired that confidence. Chandni, welcome to the panel.
Thank you so much, Akshay. Looking forward.
Brilliant, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. And to all our participants, we look forward to a really exciting discussion today. It's going to be a fairly free-wheeling discussion. I want you guys to learn as much from our panelists out here today. I don't want to be the one hogging the limelight. This is hopefully the longest you'll hear me talk. We'll start with Varun, and again, I have not got a lot written down, but Varun, would love to learn a little bit about how you at Snurp Farm, given that it's a very unique product in terms of how you've gone about revolutionizing the food industry for kids. Using ancient grains, millet, superfoods, not something that traditionally kid food was associated with, and how that journey has been, and especially as you think about your global business, how are you taking Slurp Farm to international customers? Would love to learn a little bit more about that.
Sure. Thanks, Akshay. Thanks for the opportunity here. So I think we at Slurp Farm, as you read out from our LinkedIn page, we want to change how the way kids eat, one kid at a time, and apparently then take it to the entire world. So this company was founded by Shaurvi and Meghna, who themselves hadn't grown up eating up on their grandma's recipes, including millets as a majority part of their meals. But somehow over the last 30, 40 years, millets have kind of vanished from our plates. So the idea was very simple, that there is a lot of nutrition in the simple ideas that lie at the back of our homes, but they are just not mainstream and they're not available as readily as the shelf. So if you see the shelves, you'll only see 3 products on the shelves, which is filled with maida, ghee, and chini. So which is, all of us know that they're not the best for any of us, and leave alone any kids in particular. So I think this brand's been there for about last 6 years. This is the 6th year for operations for us, and COVID was, I would say, that was a very big enabler for us. I think before COVID, we were 50% offline and we were 50% online kind of a split, which essentially means that we were selling in modern trade and retail stores of about 50% of our volumes, and the remaining 50% was being sold on online portals like Amazon, Flipkart, Big Basket, and so on and so forth. But with COVID, what happened is that when people kind of shifted to buying online, which enabled brands like ours to reach to the customers at in a cost efficient manner, which kind of also provide us a tailwind to reach to the customers directly and create that feedback loop. So COVID, I would say, was a big enabler, and we focus a lot on online channels, and essentially about 90% of our sales now come from online channels, and we kind of descaled and deprioritized the offline channel. We grew about 6x in last 18 odd months, but about the shift has been 90% of our sales are now coming through online portals. And we were focusing a lot on e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Big Basket, etc. So naturally, then Amazon also became a natural partner for us too when we were thinking of going global. So the first step that we took with Amazon last year, in the middle of last year, was to go global and launch in the markets of UK and the US. We partnered with Amazon and launched our products in the UK and the US. The model was very similar to the model Amazon follows in India, which is the FBA model, wherein you kind of supply your products to the Amazon warehouse abroad, and they stock and keep your products, and then as the customers order, then they kind of help us fulfill that. So the response has been really great over the last 3 to 4 months. I think we've been part of a few marketing campaigns as well in the UK as well as in the US, and the response from the customers has been really lovely, and we've been getting feedbacks, and the product reviews and ratings have also been great. But now I think the next natural step for us is we are exploring, and we are now looking at launching our own D2C websites in those domains as well in the US and the UK. We are right now in the process of finding the right partners, because in India, as all of us are aware, that this D2C system in itself is evolving and changing every day, because everything is not in place. So whether you talk about logistics, whether you talk about 3PL, whether you talk about warehousing, whether you talk about payments, whether you talk about websites, so like Shopify has been there, so there is no Shopify model right now for everything else. So the overall I think the key has been how to make the best decisions given the overall system in itself is evolving and changing. So I think that's what our journey has been. We are really looking forward to launching our D2C websites in these domains, and making sure that our products are available to as many people as possible, and taking millets mainstream, as we would like to call it.
Well, thank you, Varun. And I think you made a very relevant point, right? For a lot of D2C brands, usually the first port of call to sell overseas is on platforms like Amazon, because it helps you generate the demand in a cost efficient manner and at the same time take care of the logistics, right? And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that D2C brands in this country face today, is that everything is very broken. When the moment you think about selling overseas, there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that you have to stitch together. And hopefully with people like Shopmatic, PayPal, One World, that is something, and Shiprocket X, obviously, this is something that we'll be able to solve. So the brands that are going to come about in the next many years will not have to face the same challenges that some of us have to today. I'll move on to you, Dhruv. Again, like I said, love your product, Errata, and a truly world-class product. Would love to understand a little bit, Dhruv, about how you're approaching the global side of things when you think about taking Errata, which is in such a competitive category, right? Personal care,
Right.
the niches, forget India. India also has so many brands that are trying to compete with different niches, but globally, it's a whole different ball game. So would love to understand how you're thinking about taking the brand global.
First of all, thanks a lot, Akshay, for having me on this panel. It's fantastic to be here and to understand and not only discuss but also get ideas from other veterans in the industry of how they're looking at going global. So for Errata, yes, we are in an extremely competitive space with very little friction to start up your own brand, and we're seeing so many starting out. We, of course, our foremost hypothesis and expansion plan is India, but everyone wants to look beyond India and also look at other geographies. For us personally, we've followed the approach of marketplace first. We were able to figure out what our product market fit was in India. But the truth is that we don't know what that product market fit is in geographies beyond India. And that's a learning process. It's a learning process just the way it was for us in India. So the first step is just to understand if a product market fit exists at all in the geography that you've determined. Assuming you've looked at a number of data sets to hypothesize that this is a new geography that would work for you. So to first figure out on a practical basis if that product market fit exists at all. And if yes, which products are working the best and which ones aren't. I think the marketplace approach is probably the best way to first figure that part out. Because at least for a company like ours, we did have, we had limited resources. We had to make sure that whatever we were doing, we had to do it right and in a well thought out manner. And platforms, like Amazon and other marketplaces abroad, give you that opportunity to figure out the nuances of getting it right. And once you set that up, then the next obvious step, that once you figured out your product market fit, what's working, what's not working, ironed out all the creases, then the obvious next step is to set up your own .com and the entire support structure that goes around it. And then you can do that with full conviction. That's pretty much how we've been looking at it so far. We're still in the learning process, and our next step will be to set up our .com.
Great, thanks, Dhruv. So from two brands which are kind of dipping their toes in the international waters, we now have Akshay from Lagi Fashions, I think, who has a very robust international business as well. So Akshay, would love, I think, to learn a little bit more from you about, you've started your brand yourself, and you've also successfully taken it global, which very few Indian brands are able to, do. And again, in a category like women fashion, which is again a very competitive category, would love to learn a little bit more from you, Akshay, about how you've made Lagi Fashion such a successful overseas brand.
Yeah, hi. Very happy to be here today. So we are into basically Indian ethnic women category, and we started our brand in 2016. From since then, we have like franchisee model runnings across India, and we have 2 to 3 outlets, self-owned outlets in Delhi only. So because we are into this category, which falls into the fast moving fashion industry, so our competition was huge. It was very difficult to survive in this very competitive market, which falls into fashion. So then we decided to get into international waters. So I really think that international selling is an undeniable opportunity. I mean, you can do wonders on Amazon and other international platforms. Like, it's been more than 3 to 4 years that I've been selling on Amazon. Last year I clocked up around $2 lakh sale in a year, and this year I'm projecting like 100% growth, like $4 lakh. So, what are the main things that has helped my business to enter into the international market? Basically, is like, we get more growth revenue opportunities, increase client base, and you have a chance to learn more and take their feedbacks across the world. And plus, also it gives our brand more awareness, more reputation across the country, so across the world. So I think e-commerce international is an excellent opportunity. It has helped my brand particularly to grow more domestic as well. And also we've been getting huge response across the world. By I have started increasing my market size by taking their feedbacks. I have molded my products according to the customer's taste preferences. My trends, my updation with the trends have been increasing. So I would suggest, that to survive in this competition, you need to get into the international selling as well. And now that it's been more than 3 to 4 years that I've been selling, so next step would be that I will start my own .com and direct D2C, because once that I have gained that brand awareness recognition from the Amazon platform, I think it's the right time to step into the next step then.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Akshay. And I think so a valuable lesson for every entrepreneur out there who's looking to take their D2C brand global is that it's great to find the product market fit first, figure out what works, and international marketplaces are usually a great way to test the waters there. Now going from the brands to some of the enablers who are making this possible. And let's start with Sandeep from Shopmatic. Sandeep, would be great if you could tell us a little bit more about Shopmatic. I know you guys have had a lot of success in Southeast Asia and are now expanding very rapidly in India as well. Would be great to learn a little bit more about Shopmatic and how you're helping entrepreneurs take their businesses global.
Thanks, Akshay. Yeah, very, very interesting conversations there. So quickly on Shopmatic, we are a 7-year-old SaaS platform, started off from Singapore. Interestingly, the first market we entered was India, and we've had the privilege of serving over 1 million merchants across 4 markets. We are in India, Singapore, Malaysia, and Hong Kong. 80% of that customer base, of course, comes from India itself. How we want to really work around to help the merchants is by enabling online commerce across channels for them. So we are essentially a omni-channel enablement platform. When I say that, we enable web, of course, the web store, social commerce, chat commerce, and marketplace commerce for the merchant. It's a single dashboard, single order management system platform. We integrate at the back end the shipping and payment. So of course, here we have PayPal also as one of our payment gateway partners. And of course, for each market, we have a different ecosystem player partnering with us. That's about us. We also run a discovery platform called Shopmatic World, wherein our merchants can actually, for discovery, get listed. And on Shopmatic World, we basically take them to a link. Customers can come across the world, look at their web store, and purchase, to whatever territories they want to sell to. Inherently, there is a lot of movement and trend we are seeing around a lot of merchants from asking for a marketplace led internationalization to actually asking for now web store led internationalization. And I think we heard the similar sentiment right around that. While the product market fit actually starts off from the marketplace, eventually it lands up. Everybody wants to have their own store. And how we, our vision is very clear. We want to partner with the right partners in each of the markets. So if we have to take merchants to different countries, we want to have local partnerships there. Wherein logistics can be worked out for them. We want to have partnerships where payments can be worked out for them. We see about 16% of our merchants today actually choose multi-currency. So there is a huge amount. This is over the last 1.5 years, especially after the lockdown. We are seeing a huge impact where I think the merchants now are clearly looking at a larger international business. Also, 5% of our merchants today from India have already activated PayPal. Now, again, a clear direction that there is a lot of intent from the merchants to do business globally, and we already have about 300, 400 merchants who today do international business from our platform, across the countries, and while they do the fulfillment directly, but of course the payments happen through PayPal or their own payment systems.
Thank you, Sandeep. Really insightful. And I'm tempted to follow up with a quick follow-up question. If you think about a lot of the entrepreneurs and brands which are using your platform, and you had to pinpoint like a couple of things which really have made some of those businesses successful internationally. From your experience, is there any advice you could give our audience about, the couple of things that brands do who are able to be successful internationally?
Well, look, there are the various categories of merchants we see, who kind of showing up interest on the international markets, and especially around the curated products from India, around fashion, around, some bag merchants who make bags. These are the merchants who've seen a lot of sale on their international, business over the last 1.5 years. Clearly, siphoning off that. International business is here to stay. We need more ecosystem play, as was said earlier as well. If the ecosystem gets right to enable these merchants from a single window, I think more and more brands are now keen to go outside, and there is success for them. There is a lot of interest in products from India across the world right now, especially handcrafted products, especially curated products in fashion. These are categories, handicrafts. These are categories where there is, a lot of interest. And if you choose the right partners for logistics, for e-commerce, for payments, which can be real time, I think the merchants have a huge opportunity, to take their business international going forward.
Thanks, Sandeep. So, I'm following a sequence around this. Let's assume like Varun, Akshay, and Dhruv, you built a great product. You have a good product that you can sell. Now, Shopmatic and Sandeep come you and help create a website to sell that online in international markets. Now, the next step along this logical process is you got to take payment for your order. So we've now, I'll ask Chandni next from PayPal, I think, which is the most trusted solution for payments globally. Chandni, again, welcome to the panel, and would love to learn a little bit more from you about cross-border commerce, especially when we talk about D2C or product commerce, what you're seeing, what the trends are, and any advice you have for the audience today about what they should think of as they take their brand global. Would love to get your insights on that.
Thanks, Akshay. And I totally echo the sentiments that everyone's shared so far. Even at PayPal, in the last 2 years, we've seen such a phenomenal growth from small and medium-sized businesses. And especially when you look at international markets, right, after COVID, because a lot of the in-store shopping moved online. So automatically, it kind of levels the playing field for a lot of the brands that are emerging out of India, and now we can present them on the global stage. So that's been a huge trend we're seeing. And where PayPal really comes in is helping you answer the question, how do you build trust? To your point, right? Like you are a new seller, a lot of new age brands emerging from tier 2, tier 3 markets of India. Why would a North American consumer or a consumer in Australia or somebody sitting in Germany believe you or trust you? And that's the power of the PayPal network, I think, to a large extent, that we know from research that at least the consumer's propensity to pay on your site goes up by 50% plus if they see the PayPal logo over there, right? So simply by having the logo, you build trust knowing that you are a PayPal partner. So that's the first leg of it. And secondly, I think we also spoke about multi-currency acceptance, right? So that becomes a very, very big factor when you're going global, because every consumer wants to purchase in their local currency. If I'm sitting in Singapore, I want to see it in Singapore dollar. If I'm sitting somewhere else, I want to see it in my local currency. So we enable that, like with a single integration, we can give you, allow you to receive money in over 100 currencies, right? So without much effort taken from the brand's end. And then multiple other things, like while you're actually in the payment process, if you've taken the trouble to bring a customer to your specific D2C website, how do you create frictionless payment experiences? How do you provide buyer protection and seller protection both? So that's our job also. So, sellers like merchants are looking at us to protect them from fraudulent buyers, and buyers are looking at protecting us in case something goes wrong with the order. So we take care of that part of the process as well. And finally, then comes the post payment purchase. So how do you create a delightful experience to actually get the customer back? Like, it's easy to throw money at a problem and get the first time buyer in, but if they don't have a delightful experience with you, they're never going to come back. So the brand engagement and retention becomes really key, and that's also where we provide thought leadership to all our merchants on how do you go ahead and build that. But so much excitement in this space, and really looking forward to how it unfolds in the next few months.
Well, thanks, Chandni. Absolutely. I think PayPal has been one of the key enablers in this international commerce ecosystem. And you've been pioneers from way back in the day when a lot of us hadn't really even thought about cross border commerce. So thank you for those insights. So now Shopmatic has helped you take the order, PayPal has helped you pay for the order. Now that's where you come in, Atul. You have to do the heavy lifting. You've got to actually transport the product globally. So welcome to the panel, Atul. Would love to learn a little bit about you, from about One World and how you've been helping merchants sell globally. I know you've done a lot of work historically from China to global markets, and now with India is one of the key focus areas for you. So obviously you see a lot of potential here. Would love to learn a little bit more about, how you're thinking about the Indian market and product cross-border commerce.
Akshay, thank you very much. And thank you for having me on this panel. And first of all, guys, we are super excited to partner up with Shiprocket because Shiprocket leads the space in India, and the opportunity for cross-border is immense, right? Everybody on this panel is saying cross-border, but it's not the same. So when you are successful in India, how can you be successful in international markets? These are really, really exciting, lucrative markets, right? So I mirror some of the things Varun said and Dhruv was saying, but let me give you some background on our journey. One World Express is 23 years old, so we are a dinosaur, as I call it. We're not a new company, but we're a startup in the cross-border space from about 10 years now. So 10 to 12 years, we've been working with Chinese merchants, Chinese brands, taking them cross-border. When we started in the space in 2008, it was direct from China to the world. Nobody knew whether a cross-border situation would work or not. So the initial stages of cross-border was shipping from the country. So when I say that, that's exactly the journey India is on. So India is, and forgive me for saying this, India is around 8 years behind where China is, and at 8 to 9 years behind in terms of the volumes and the appetite. India has understood domestic. They see the excitement on how online sales can be. We're getting a feel for what online is, but internationally, you need support, right? So that's exactly what happened in China. We had conferences and seminars, education. PayPal was always there in these seminars, right? eBay as a marketplace, Amazon as a marketplace. That's the right approach. You want to get a feel for international markets, use the marketplaces, right? Once you get a feel for the international markets, then you go to your brands.com and see how you can, because that's when the real profits come in for the brand, right? So initially, you're going to give maybe 30%, 33%, whatever, of your revenues out to the marketplace. But that's great. They have the traffic, guys. 70% of the business is happening through these marketplaces, right? Um, so cross-border, what's important? A consumer in the international market is very different. When they shop online, they're looking at what's the cost, right? Are you going to give me free shipping? So we are all spoiled in the Western world. We want free shipping, right? So can you do that? Number two, what's your return policy? Now, when you're sending things cross-border, if a consumer does not see the right return policy, a lot of them will exit buying from you because they're not satisfied how they'll be able to return it. So you need to think about the return policies. Number three, who pays for the return? Am I expected to pay for this return if I don't like what I buy? Now, the craziest market for returns is Germany, right? So the Germans are returning 70%. How do you deal with that cost of returns? And do you have centers that can take this in for you. So let me come back to a few things, right? So you start with a direct to market approach. The next steps would be, hang on, we have some hot SKUs here. Can we forward deploy this into certain markets, right? So journey number one with Shiprocket, direct to market. If you want to explore this market, the marketplace approach is spot on. And now you get a feel for cross-border. You want to forward deploy. Again, Shiprocket has a team on the ground. We have infrastructures in the UK, in the USA. These are your key markets today. But let's not forget Southeast Asia today. Southeast Asia is an incredible, incredible space which is growing the fastest in the world. Let's forget about the UK. The UK and USA are hungry consumers, and that's your immediate easy markets. But growth markets are coming in from Southeast Asia as well. You have Australia, which is also hungry for product, right? So as a key, whilst you're building your brand internationally, can you ship from India? One. Can you ship cost effectively? Can you have a return policy where you have a partner in the UK or USA, Australia? Again, with our partnership with Shiprocket, you'd be able to access some of these things, right? So through One World supporting Shiprocket. What does the consumer want? They want to see the speed and the visibility as well. Can you show them the journey of the shipment? I'm very spoiled. I want to know where my parcel is. Can you show them where that is? And if I'm not going to be at home, do you have options where I can divert it to a shop or a drop off or a Pudo, or can I divert that parcel? So there are quite a few factors that come in a cross-border environment, because as Chandni said, it's about the consumer experience. For your brand to be successful, you have to tick quite a few boxes, because your consumers are going to be your best marketing guys. They're going to say to other people, hey, this brand is really cool. The experience we had with them was fantastic. The engagement, the communication, the journey of the parcel, that's all important things. And that's where we will step in and help you with that. So we'll help you on that journey, the engagement, making sure your consumers know where it is. And as a case study, I'll use Global eGrow, which was a huge, huge listed company in China. So we worked very closely with Global eGrow. And what we told them is show the consumers who the final mile carrier is. And let's display those logos at checkout saying, in your country, the final mile delivery is going to be done by, let's say, if it's a UK, it's Royal Mail. And what they saw is a 32% uptake in sales because the consumer related to who was going to deliver that parcel to them. So these are some of the benefits as well that will come out as you grow your brands internationally. Some of these important factors is where the consumer feels comfortable saying, oh my God, okay, couriers in Spain is going to come and deliver a parcel. I'm happy with that. But can you connect the end-to-end tracking? So from the point where Shiprocket picks up a parcel in India, can we display the journey till it's delivered in Spain? And the answer is yes, we can. And connecting the dots and the data is what your consumer is expecting in a cross-border environment to see that journey and be comfortable that they're going to get their parcel in the timeline. And can you also give some sort of a prediction on when they'll get it? Consumers hate waiting for parcels endlessly, right? So you need some of these things where you give them comfort. Okay, you're going to get it in 5 to 7 days. So please deliver it in 5 to 7 days. Yes, we have a pandemic. If it's going to take a couple of days, get the communication right. So that engagement is so important. So again, I could talk on and on, but I think I must stop. But I just wanted to share very quickly some of the important things we feel is important for brands as you start going on your cross-border journey. And fortunately, we have Shiprocket as our partner who's on the ground in India, who can help you guys with lots and lots of information, which we will support with. And on the international side, we're there with infrastructures and knowledge to support. So even like with Shopmatic, I mean, you talk about Southeast Asia, we're quite happy to talk how we can support your merchants, because some of these things are so important. So again, thank you guys.
Thanks, Atul. And again, a lot of very, very valid points, right? I think one of the big things when we think about brands going global is trust. Whether it's trust comes from payment, making payment trust like PayPal, making sure that your money is safe. It's also about how quickly you get the product, how good the communication and transparent it is. We'll skip to Q&A now, and apologies I wasn't able to do a second round with you guys, but we have only about 7 minutes left, and we have some questions coming in. And the first question we have coming in is Rina asking, what are the factors one should consider while deciding pricing globally? So Akshay, I'm going to ask you that question first because you are actually obviously selling both domestically and internationally in extensive numbers. How do you think about pricing globally when you think about your products?
I think the most important factor that I, particularly for my product, is concerned, I decide is the return percentage. Like there is huge. Last year we had around 35% return because of pandemic issues, and this year we have cut down to like 15 to 20%. But the return percentage is very, very, like it's very pathetic, and it's not there's no way that we can make it hassle free, because for customers, if they don't get the product on time, like Mr. Atul sir just said, that if the customer is not getting the product on time, we lose the customer, and then there's no way that the customer will come back to our site again and buy the product again. So efficient shipping and the basic customer satisfaction experience is, I think, the most important thing. Having the product delivered rightly at the buyer's doorstep is very important. So for this, I think Shiprocket is really helpful. But the question that you asked was, as far as my product is concerned, the return percentage we need to take care of. That is very important, because if we price the product and if we get the a very high percentage of returns, there is no point of making the business internationally. Then it's like moving round and round only. We don't make any good profits here. And that's it. I mean, for my product, that is the most important factor that I particularly consider while deciding the price of the product.
Thanks, Akshay. I think that's a very relevant point, and honestly, I hadn't really thought of it. It's a very, very relevant point. Chandni, given that you do a lot of education around global selling for a lot of merchants, how would you think about this question when you advise merchants on how they should think about global pricing?
Yeah, so I do echo Akshay's point. Like even in all the research we've done, right, one of the biggest pain points for international businesses like to go global is going to be around returns and refunds, right? So as long as you can nail that first and get it right and create your market sequencing, like when you're saying global, you obviously can't be all things to all people. So you have to find the affinity market. If am I launching US first or Southeast Asia first, and then start doing test and learn experiments. I don't think pricing there's any silver bullet to say this is the right price, right? Like, but what I think is like what is 75 rupees in India doesn't have to be $1 in the US. It could be higher.
Yeah.
So you got to really be able to do the test and learn experiments and find the sweet spot that works for you and your buyer.
Great, thanks, Chandni. Again, very insightful. The next question we have is, how should we decide which market to first enter globally? So, Varun, I'm going to first lob this question towards you because as you decided about exploring international markets for Slurp Farm, how did you go about this? Was it just the size of the market, or were there other factors that you took into consideration?
I think there are two layers to that question. I would say, I think one is absolutely the size of the market that you're targeting, because ultimately the number of consumers that you can target, if that's large enough, then you will definitely find your niche set there. The second bit is also about the product market fit. I think Dhruv had touched upon that point earlier in the conversation, that you need to figure out whether your product is actually suitable for that audience. So for example, if we talk about mainstream Europe in particular, like there are 30 or 40 countries there which each of them have different cultural and ethnicities, which is very different from the UK itself. So if you decide to go into Europe, like let's say, which countries are you targeting, whether your product is suitable for each ethnicity, and how do you tailor it appropriately? Or you can go and choose countries like US in itself, which is like a large country. You have a large consumer set, the market's more set, and you have to figure out whether you are suitable to that. So I think there'll be two keys here. One is the whether your product is suitable to the market, finding whether there is a right product market fit, and for that you can do tests on Amazon or via other e-commerce platforms that are available in those markets. And the second thing is obviously going to be about how large the market is. You ultimately do not want to go and spend out of your way to create your market in a way where you can't expand much. So I would say these are the two very important factors I would keep into consideration. Sorry, Akshay, can't hear you. You're on mute, I guess.
Sorry about that. Again, thanks, Varun. Again, very insightful, very relevant points. And Dhruv, if I lob this back towards you as well, anything you'd like to add when you think about, which country you want to first enter globally, especially when you think about a D2C perspective?
Right. Yeah, I think I think there are both qualitative and quantitative factors that any brand would need to look at. The quantitative being to a huge extent the obvious market size and the addressable TAM. But I think the qualitative part is equally important because you can have the numbers, but if there isn't again a fit for that market and it's not relevant, your product won't sell no matter how large that market may be. So for us, an example would be is that for the West, we hypothesize that natural and sustainable is a fiercely growing segment in the West, has been for a long time, and so much so now. And that's how we identified a potential market for us. And another example is that we found a very good product market fit in hair products for different kinds of textured hair. One of them being curly haired women. So we found that there's a large curly wavy head population in the Middle East from the data that we found, and therefore we found that the Middle East, removing Saudi Arabia, even though the population may not be very large, is a very is a great potential geography for us to sell in. So I think it's really important to build out that data. And the advantage for us, building products and services from India is, and I think someone had touched upon this. I lost connectivity for a second. Is that we have that advantage of price arbitrage. We're able to manufacture our goods and services at a relatively cheaper cost, and that gives us the ability to really test our products out there to see, at what price points and at what positioning our products work. So that's pretty much how we look at it.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks, Dhruv. And you've touched on a point, which is actually the next question that we had is, we have Shanaz asking us that, buyers from international markets look to India to get the best deals. But ironically, entrepreneurs in India can't always tap this cross-border opportunity because often the shipping is more expensive than the product itself. Atul, I'm going to lob this towards you since you're the shipping expert on the panel. Any advice you have for entrepreneurs as they think through this dilemma, especially, I guess, for low ASP products, where this would be even more prohibitive?
Yeah, so shipping cost is always important. Like I said, I want free shipping. So how do you give free shipping, right? When you're going cross-border, it becomes very, very difficult. So, and if you're selling a low-value product, how do you incorporate free shipping if the cost is so high? So again, that's another challenge we have. The way China did it, they took advantage of rules that were much more favorable 7-10 years back, right? The rules have changed in the postal world, and the postal world has become more aware of e-commerce not being regular mail, and they've learned that e-commerce is to be treated differently. So the Chinese could deliver a phone case for 99 cents free delivery anywhere in the world. I mean, unfortunately, those days are gone, right? So where you could deliver for 99 cents, and people would wonder, how can China do this? And it was because the postal world was structured in a very different way back then. It doesn't mean you can't deliver that for 199 today, right? So you can still deliver the world at 199. So that's the difference in the last 8 or 10 years. And those are the solutions we want to bring out to India, that you have for the low SKU value items where you don't necessarily need full track and trace. You can have some partial tracking around it. Can you get a service which may not exactly be India Post, because you can't beat India Post in the pricing, but are you prepared to pay maybe 30, 40 rupees more, but get a more direct to market type access, but still low cost? So these are the solutions we believe will help the low SKU value item for shipping. And again, as brands build out, you might have low value items which doesn't necessarily need all the bells and whistles. And your higher value SKUs, you'd go for the bells and whistles and the tracking and all that. So bringing the combination of solutions at the platform level And making it available to the brands, I think, is important. And that's where we are stepping in with yourselves, Akshay, to bring those options to the brands in India. And hopefully we can give those numbers and get the lower value SKUs also shipping at a pretty cost effective way. And that's where we are on this.
Oh, absolutely, Atul. And I think the innovation as far as logistics and shipping is concerned, there's a lot of room. And that's where we're also working very closely with not just our partners from the logistics world, but also with government and policymakers as to how we can make shipping a lot more cost effective and make the buying process a lot more hassle free for global players. I think one of the things, though, I would add from a Shiprocket perspective is a lot of times when we think about low ASP products, right? Something that maybe, for example, less than 500 rupees or less than $7 in terms of price in the US or UK markets. Bundling is always a good opportunity to be able to create your cart value so that you can actually justify the shipping. Because I think, there are certain products which are need based, and I completely agree with Atul, where you don't necessarily need full track and trace, and you should absolutely go ahead with getting a cost effective solution. But we've seen in India, from my experience, the quicker you send it out, the less the chances of return. It's set in stone. We've seen that sometimes a 24-hour delay can increase an RTO for different product categories by as much as 10 to 15%. Now, really, 24 hours, one day, and you don't want the product anymore. But that's just the reality of the world that we live in. People are being bombarded with offers, products from everywhere. They go out offline, they can buy the same product. They go online to other websites, someone offering them same day shipping, next day shipping. Product's going to take 3 days. They've ordered it, it comes, and they say no, we don't want it. So I think what I always say, and this goes in part to a question also that Shruti has asked about. Is there a way where we are thinking to enable express delivery? I think absolutely. I think we are working with our partners like Atul and One World Express and multiple partners in the shipping world to figure out how we can get better and better shipping options for 4 to 5 day delivery. It's not just the large branded couriers. How can we make it more cost effective for people to be able to get 5 day delivery? Because I think when it comes to cross-border shipping, 4 to 5 day delivery is actually a reasonable time frame. It's like the 1 day or 2 day delivery in India. I have very few customers globally who order from a seller in India and expect the item in 2 to 3 days. I think it's very few cases, unless you're shipping from a Delhi to a New York. Maybe that's when this is going to happen in 2 to 3 days, because you'll have same day pickup within India from a metro. You'll have overnight connectivity on a flight to New York, and then same day delivery in the US. I think outside of that, when you're buying from Indian sellers, I think 4 to 5 day delivery is an excellent offering, and it's something that we are looking to innovate upon with all our partners to make sure that it becomes more of a reality and it becomes less cost prohibitive. Obviously, the pandemic is not helping. I think air freight rates are through the roof right now because commercial flights are not really operating. And this is one of my roles in Shiprocket, is to be able to create this new supply chain. So trust me, I'm banging my head against the wall every day, calling Atul at all odd times of the night, saying, we need to make this cheaper. How do we make this cheaper? And he's like, flights are not operating. Right? What do you want me to do? You should be lucky that we're getting the load across to the continental United States or continental Europe, and you're just asking about how do I make it cheaper. But that's the reality. We want everything. We want the best, and we want it the cheapest. That's how everybody in the world, it's not just us in India, everybody in the world does that. Hopefully, that's going to change very, very quickly. And I'm going to have this last question now from Rohit. Hey, he's a Shiprocket fellow for a Shiprocketeer. He's asked, Sandeep, and I'm going to ask this question to you. What are the biggest obstacles currently in the ecosystem that you see for a domestic seller to be able to sell globally? Hi, Sandeep, can you hear me?
Sorry, yeah, I did not get. Okay. Oh well, yeah. So the puzzle we're trying to currently. Sorry, can you hear us?
Yes, Sandeep. Thanks. We can hear you.
The puzzle we try with Shopmatic is how can we so how can we solve entire piece, be it channel payment or be it shipping, outsource as a single stop shop. Whether be it I can have a single dashboard and single point of contact, and we sort of help them in the entire journey. And while in India and within markets we are able to solve that piece, I think when it comes to cross-border, international, the payment piece is a little simpler because of partners like PayPal. I think there's still a lot of journey to be sort of taken on the shipping piece, not just from the various countries where they can be shipped out to, but various categories. what all can go in, because every country has a different rule for different categories. Also, what kind of documentation is required? Do you need a local entity? Various other things, and that's possibly one of the other reasons why Amazon, we see, because they have FBA and everything else, put it together as a single solution shop. A lot of most of the merchants actually try out their product market fit through them. But we're trying to, as we see a lot of merchants now showing interest on going .com into the markets and actually going single platform. We want to have a similar sort of an experience for the merchant on our kind of a platform as well. And we look forward to partners like Atul and yourself, and of course Chandni, to sort of keep solving that puzzle for our merchants, so that we eventually are able to give them a single stop solution to go international as well.
No, absolutely, Sandeep. And Chandni, again, would be great to get your view, because you've been the largest enabler for cross-border commerce at PayPal for some time. So what are your views in terms of obstacles that you think the biggest obstacles in the ecosystem for Indian sellers?
I think, Akshay, to a large extent, I'd say founders just have to first focus on their product, and everybody's iterated product market fit, right? So getting your product market and pricing fit for the market that you're targeting. And where is it that you're going to first find the natural affinity? What should be your country sequencing that should come into your go-to-market plan? And then all the rest of it is enablers. So like payments, shipping, logistics, the rest of us can chime in to build the whole plan together. But as a founder from India, you should focus on your product first, and just let us do the rest of the work for you. And I think one topic no one has touched yet, but I'm sure you would resonate, is people. Like, do you have the right team to even take your product global, right? So you start with a few people, or whether do you need in-market expertise, especially things like sales marketing, where you need the local nuances. Who's going to bring that market knowledge to you to even tell you whether this product will work in that international setup or not? So that's the missing piece which we need to add to everything else that we've already said.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Chandni. And we're going to wrap this up now. And thank you to all the participants for your time today. I think this was a truly valuable session and very, very informative. And I'll just end with one thing. Every forum that I've been on, I always say that, I grew up looking at foreign brands or international brands on Indian shelves, and always being told imported achai, imported products are good products. And today, I think while the 80s and 90s might have held that mantra, I think since 2000 till now, I think the world has changed. Today, if you talk to me personally as well, I am using more Indian products than any global products, right? I'm going more for niche D2C brands than I'm going for global mass market brands. Because I believe those brands are more customized to my needs. And I truly am passionate about the fact that I believe in the next 20 years, and I'm saying 20, but I hope it happens much quicker than that, is going to be the time that I walk into a store or a supermarket in the US or the UK, and I've lived in the UK and US for a large part of my life, and I actually see a lot more Indian brands on the shelf. And it's not just that when I go to certain countries and I see a Tata car or a Mahindra car, my chest swells with pride, because it does. But it's when I go into a supermarket, into a Whole Foods, into a Ralph's on the West Coast in the US, or a CVS, I also see a lot of the Indian brands like Slurp Farm and Arata. And I just say more power to all the D2C entrepreneurs in India. I think this is truly your time. And all of us, whether it's Shopmatic, One World, PayPal, or Shiprocket, are here to help you in that journey. So thank you all. Thank you for your time today. And the best of luck with making Indian brands truly global.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you very
Very
much.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so
Pleasure.
much. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.